So next we will see what are the steps to create a real world object in our programming world. Steps to create a real world object in programming world. What are the steps we have in Java to create real world object in programming world? So whenever we think about one type, you want to create one type. Type is nothing but a like class. One type is equal to one class. This one type consists of one value. For example, we will take one type is a bank type of object we want to create. There, when you think about creating bank object, bank is a type. For that type, you have to create object. To create object, you have to create class. That's the reason I have given one type is equal to one type is a one class. When you think about one value, value is nothing but a data of your class. It is nothing but data of your object. One value is one variable inside a class. And one operation we have discussed. For example, we have bank object. Bank object consists of some business operations like withdraw and deposit. Whatever the business operations which is done by any object, those comes under operation. Here one operation is one method inside class. One operation is nothing but one method inside a class in our Java. One method inside class in our Java. And next, for your example class like bank or student or any bike or any car, for any class you are creating, you will create objects, right? For that class. So that objects are nothing but instance. Just now we have discussed. In real world, we will call objects. In programming world, we will call it as instances. One particular object is nothing but one instance with that object values. One particular object is nothing but one instance of that class. For example, we have student object. The student object will be having some hundreds of students will be having. By using student class means student class is nothing but a blueprint. By using that student class, we will create objects, right? Whatever the objects you are creating in class, we will call it as one instances with that object values. Here we have two instances for two objects. For two student objects, we have two student instances in our Java. How we created these instances? By using class and new keyword, new student. So these are the steps to create real world object in our programming world. We will see one example. For example, I have a object This is my object, real world object, a person. So just assume this person has a student. So student example we have already seen, right? We will assume this person has employee. We will assume this person has employed to some other company. This person is employee. For this employee object, you have to create class. How you will create class? Class student. Sorry, this is my employee object, right? Class employee. And this employee will be having some data. The data we will store in variables like employee number, employee name, some employee details, employee phone number. All those comes under, all those data we will store in our variables. So whatever the operations which is done by employee, for example, we will take this employee has any bank employee. What this bank employee will do, he will deposit money of customers and he will withdraw money and he will give money to their customers. Those are operations are done by bank employee. That operations are nothing but methods in our Java. This is how we can create a real world object in our programming world. By using this class, for example, I have employee object. For employee object, whenever you see this employee object, by using this employee object, we must create employee instances. To create employee instances, we should have employee class, right? For that reason, I have created class employee. And this employee will be having some data to store. Where we have to store the data, we have to store in variables. So we have to create some variables with employee number, employee name, some employee phone number, all those you have to store in variables. And this employee will be doing some work. Work is nothing but a operations, some business operations. Those all operations we have to write in our methods, and that operations we will call it as a logic which we write inside a method. By using this class, you can create multiple employee instances. Some E1, E2, employee 3, E3. All those instances I have created by using class. This is how we can present our real world object in our programming world. We will develop a project to create a real world object. Like example, we have seen example like student, we have seen bank, we have seen. We will take example as employee, right? We will develop a project to create a real world object of employee in our programming world. We will see how we can create it. Like for example, we will take two employees. For the two employees, we have to create objects with their data. First, you have to create blueprint. Blueprint is nothing but object class example, sorry, employee. This is my employee class. Employee class will be having data like int employee number, string employee name, and some salary will be there, double salary, and some department, string department. This is my employee class with data. These variables are nothing but I have created these variables to store employee object data. This is my blueprint. I have created employee class. What we have to do next? You have to create this employee class objects to store multiple employees data. This is my employee.java. So for this employee class, you have to create different employee objects. Where you will create these employee objects? You will get a doubt. For example, employee is a person. Where employees will be there? Either in a company, either in any industry or any working place. In any working place only employees will be there, right? Means you have to create that your employee objects in your working place. In your working place is nothing but, for example, we will take a company. Company will be having so many employees. By using this employee class blueprint, this employee variables, we have to store our employees data in our company project. You got my point, right? Now I have to create class company because I'm creating company class because only companies or any industries or any bank will be having employees, right? For that reason, I'm creating company class. Class company. Inside this class, I will write main method. Public static void main. String array args. This is my main method. Inside this main method, I have to create employee class objects. Employee class objects are nothing but employee class instances. Why I am creating employee class instances in company class? Just now we have discussed. Where employee class will be there? Where employees will be there? In company or in industry or bank. So when employees are there in company project only we have to store employees data, right? For that reason I am creating company class. So we will take another example. For example, I have created class student. Where students will be there? Either in college or any school or colleges students will be there. Whenever you create blueprint of student, where you have to store the students data? You have to create class college. In that college class you have to create your student objects and you have to store students data inside that college class. So you got my point, right? Now I will create employee object inside this company class. Employee E1 is equal to new employee. I have created employee object with E1 reference. Now I want to store one employee data in this E1 reference. This E1 reference is pointing to some memory in heap area. We have seen all this in our JVM architecture, right? So I'm creating one object with employee class. So with this E1 reference, I want to store this E1 object related data. Different data objects, different instances or objects will be having different data. By using this employee reference E1 or E2 or E3, you have to store your object or instance related data. In this E1 reference, I want to store E1 dot E number is equal to some number, some one, or we will give 100. And this E1 reference, E1 object is having ename. This ename is string. Inside this ename, I will give my name, Hemant. For this E1 reference, sal will be there. Sal is equal to, sal is double data type. So you have to give some amount. I will give it as 1000. And my E1 variable with E1 reference, I am storing department. Department I will store as some, department is string, right? Inside department I will write Java. So this is my instance of my employee object. This is employee class. By using this class, I have to create multiple employee objects. That multiple employee objects will be having different data. To store different data, you have to create employee object with some reference. Here I have created employee object with E1 reference. By using this E1 reference, I am storing Hemant related data in our employee class. Next we will create one more object. Employee E2 is equal to new employee. So E2 dot ename, e number, I will give us some 200. E2 dot ename, I will give us some John. E2 dot sal, I will give us 2000. And E2 dot department, I will give us some Python. This is string, right? When you are storing string data, you have to use double quotes. So this is my employee objects data. I have created two employee objects with their two different data. These two employees data consists of this employee class. This is how you can create instances to store different objects data. This is my class. Company.java. Now we have seen and I have explained you how we can create employee objects, employee instances. Now we will execute this program practically. Just go to Notepad. First we will create employee class employee. This employee class contains, I already explained you this program, right? So no need to worry. String ename, double sal, string department. This is my employee class with variables to store data. Just save it. I will name it as employee.java. Now we will create company class company. Inside this class we will write main method, public static void main, string array args, inside this main method I will create employee object or employee instance. Employee e1 is equal to new employee, e1 dot e number is equal to some 101 or 100, e2 dot e name is equal to Hemant, e2 dot we have sal is equal to some 1000, sorry this is e1, e1 dot department is equal to Java. I will create one more object, employee e2 is equal to new employee. E2 dot ENO is equal to some 200, e2 dot ename is equal to some John, e2 dot sal is equal to some 2000, e2 dot department is equal to Python. So this is my two objects data. We will save this class. Company.java. So we have created two classes and we have saved it. Now we will execute these two programs. Just go to our project directory. We will compile this class. Java C company.java. When you compile company.java class, your employee class also will be compiled, because inside company class you are using employee class objects. That's the reason two classes are compiled at the same time. Now you can see by going to your project directory, you have company.class and you have employee.class. We have compiled only employee.class, but we got employee class dot and company.class. Now we will execute this Java company. So our class is successfully executing. Here it is not printing anything on console because we are not writing anything in our class like system.out.println. That's the reason it is not printing anything. System.out.println. We will print this E1 object, E1, and we will print E2 object, system.out.println, E2. Just save it, Ctrl S, go to command prompt, Java C company.java, Java company. Here you are seeing my company class created two employee class objects with different data with different reference addresses. If you want to print this data on your console, we have seen, right? We have to implement toString method in our class. We will implement this. Now we will override toString method from object class. So why we should override toString method from our object class means, to print the object data in our console, we have to override toString method. toString method is available in our object class, and whatever the classes we are writing, or whatever the classes given by our Java, all the classes, our predefined or user defined, predefined classes are nothing but the classes which is given by Java in our JDK. All those classes and whatever the classes we are writing by our own, all those classes are extending from our java.lang.object. When you compile it, it will add java.extends java.lang.object to our classes. So now our employee class and company class is the subclasses of our object class. So this is my subclass, means object is my superclass, right? In my object class, I have toString method which is printing my employee object in hexadecimal format. I don't want to print hexadecimal format of my employee class object. I want to print the object data on my console. To print the object data on my console, I have to override the toString method in my employee class. Then you have to write the logic which you want to print on your console. Just go to, this is my company class, go to employee class. Here just override toString method. By overriding this method, you are saying you are saying to compiler that I want to print object data instead of object address, which is printing in hexadecimal format. You don't want to print that. You want to print object data. That's the reason you are overriding this toString method from your superclass of employee class. This employee class is extends java.lang.object internally. Inside this object class, we have toString method. The toString method is printing this employee class object's address with hexadecimal number. We have seen in our before lectures, it is printing some example at the rate 15D6. It is printing like that. So we don't want to print that hexadecimal. We want to print the object data. That's the reason I'm overriding the toString method from my object class to employee class. This is placed by compiler internally. So I'm overriding toString method and I'm saying to compiler I want to print my data on my console. Just save it, Ctrl S, go to command prompt, open cmd command prompt, javac company.java. It has successfully compiled. Now we will execute java company. Now clearly you are seeing that it is printing employee number, employee name, salary and department on our console. We have two employee objects. It is printing two employee objects details data on our console. This is how we can print our object data on our console.